The story opens at a small dock along the Australian coast, where two tourists, Heather and Greg, are looking to join a shark cage diving tour. A man named Tucker shows up. He's the boat's captain. He quickly figures out that the couple got separated from their original group, which means nobody knows where they are now. After a quick intro, the three of them set out into open water on Tucker's barge. On the way, Tucker shares a story from his past, how he got attacked by a shark while surfing as a kid. He lived to tell the tale, but the encounter left him with some nasty scars, both physical and otherwise. Once they reach the dive site, Heather starts to panic. Tucker calms her down by singing a ridiculous little children's song about a baby shark. It actually works. Soon after, the couple suits up in scuba gear and climbs down into a steel cage designed to protect them from the many sharks swimming below. They come back up to the surface exhilarated and breathless from the adrenaline rush. But suddenly, without warning, Tucker pulls a knife and stabs Greg to death. He shoves the body into the ocean, using him as bait for the predators below. He spares Heather for now. The story then shifts to Zephyr, a young woman living out of her van, chasing waves and living for the surf. At a local store, she bumps into a guy in business clothes named Moses. His car's dead and he's looking for jumper cables. He sees her pocket a couple snacks without paying and threatens to snitch to the cashier unless she helps him jumpstart his ride. She reluctantly agrees and drives him back to his car. While working on the battery, she notices a surfboard in his trunk. That shared passion for surfing sparks something, and before long, things turn physical right there in her van, which she's parked near his house. When he asks her what got her into surfing, she tells him that nothing else in life ever really made sense for her. Surfing's the only thing that feels right. Moses opens up too and tells her about a hidden surf spot where the waves are always solid. Later that night, while Zephyr sleeps, Moses heads into the house to make her breakfast. But by the time he comes back out with the food, the van's gone. She's already headed to the beach to check out that surf spot he told her about. When she gets there, she realizes she forgot her fin key. She notices a pickup truck parked nearby and walks over, hoping to borrow a tool. She starts rummaging around the back of the truck when its owner suddenly walks up. It's Captain Tucker. He hands her a key without saying much and drives off. Doesn't ask her any questions. Doesn't even make a creepy joke. Nothing. As Zephyr gets her board ready, she texts Moses. They're just about to make plans to hang out again when, out of nowhere, Tucker returns and grabs her in a chokehold. He doesn't let go until she passes out. Then he grabs her surfboard, tosses it into the water to make it look like she went out for a swim and drowned, and stuffs her unconscious body into a storage case. He hauls her back to the dock and loads her into the hold of his boat. Zephyr wakes up handcuffed to a bed. Across from her is Heather, still alive, still held captive. Zephyr screams for help, but the boat's already far out to sea. No one can hear her except their kidnapper, who's calmly eating breakfast nearby. Realizing no one's coming to save them, Zephyr decides to take matters into her own hands. She tries to rip the headboard loose but it won't budge. So she starts searching for anything she can use to pick the lock on her cuffs. Growing up on the streets and spending time in juvie gave her all the skills she needs for something like this. Meanwhile, Moses finds her abandoned van. Later that day he sees it being towed away, still no sign of her. She never came back. He reports her missing to the police, but with no signs of foul play, there's not much they can do. Back on the boat, Zephyr notices Heather's bra nearby. She pulls out the underwire and tries using it to pick the lock. Just as she's getting somewhere, Tucker walks in with lunch. He casually comments on Heather not wearing a bra. Zephyr tries to play it cool and distract him with small talk, hoping he doesn't notice what she was up to. After he leaves, she goes right back to picking the lock, not realizing Heather is fading fast. Then Zephyr starts feeling strange too. Tucker drugged the water. She drops the wire. As she reaches down to grab it, Tucker walks back in, now carrying a harness. He catches her mid-move and everything fades to black. When she wakes up, she's tied to a chair on the deck. Heather is dressed in the harness, strapped to the boat's crane arm. Tucker sets up an old VHS camcorder and starts ranting about ancient gods in the ocean, full-blown Lovecraft lunacy. He cuts a lock of Heather's hair as part of some twisted ritual, then uses the crane to slowly lower her into the water. He films everything as the sharks swarm her. It's his sick version of a sacrifice. Once it's over, he brings what's left of Heather back into the hold. Still drugged, Zephyr scratches Heather's name into the wood next to the names of other victims. Some of the older carvings have already been painted over. Up in the cabin, Tucker dances around in his robe and underwear, drinking cheap wine straight from the bottle. He tapes Heather's hair to a fishhook, then ties it to the VHS tape of her death. It's just one of dozens he's made. The next morning he brings Zephyr some food. She mouths off, trying to get under his skin, but he just laughs it off and tells her to dump her bad attitude into the bucket next to her bed, says sharks don't like the taste of foul-mouthed tourists. That's when she gets an idea. She rips the handle off the bucket, breaks it in half and sharpens it into a crude plastic shiv. That night, Tucker preps a syringe filled with sedatives and heads down to her cell. She pretends to be asleep. Just as he leans in, she lunges and stabs him with the broken handle. He falls back, smashes his head against the bed frame and goes out cold. She grabs the keys from his pocket, unlocks her cuffs and bolts. But Tucker's already waking up. She runs but doesn't close the door behind her. He's right behind her. He jabs the syringe into her back mid-chase. She stumbles into the captain's cabin and tries to use the radio, but no one answers. She sees a brightly lit tourist boat out the window, but her body's already shutting down. Tucker appears. In a final act of defiance, Zephyr grabs his vintage camcorder, the one he clearly treasures, and hurls it into the ocean. Then she jumps in after it. But the sedatives are still in her system. She doesn't get far before Tucker hauls her back on board with a gaff hook. Meanwhile, Moses is out surfing, but he can't shake the feeling that something's wrong. Back on shore, he finds a broken surfboard. Zephyr's. He calls for rescue and pushes for a proper search. As always, it leads nowhere. Then he starts checking security camera footage from the beach area. And something strange catches his eye. Right after Zephyr arrived at the beach, security footage showed a pickup truck pulling away. It was registered to someone named Tucker, the same guy who runs the local shark diving tours. Moses tries calling him but gets his voicemail. The message says Tucker's on vacation. Meanwhile, back on the boat, Tucker drags Zephyr back into captivity. This time he doesn't take any chances. He shackles her down with 2 sets of handcuffs. Then he heads back to shore. He needs a new camera. At a local flea market, the self-proclaimed shark whisperer finds an old camcorder that'll do the trick and drives back to the boat. But he doesn't realize he's being followed. Moses has tracked him down and snuck onto the vessel looking for answers. As he makes his way through the boat, he hears strange noises coming from below deck, muffled banging like someone trying to break free. It's Zephyr, gagged and desperate, pounding against the wall. Realizing something's seriously wrong, Moses smashes the window to the control room and rushes down into the hold. There he finds Zephyr, alive, restrained and fighting to stay strong. Instead of wasting time fumbling with her restraints, Moses makes a smart move and runs back upstairs to call the police. But when he steps into the cabin, Tucker's already waiting. Bigger, stronger, and totally unhinged, the captain attacks. He wounds Moses with a gaff hook during the struggle, but Moses fights back hard. He nearly chokes the madman unconscious, until someone else unexpectedly steps in. One of Tucker's marina neighbors had heard the noise and came to investigate. Just as he's trying to make sense of the chaos, Zephyr's screams echo from below. That's all the neighbor hears before Tucker drives the hook straight through the man's skull. With no one left who saw anyone board the boat, Tucker quietly sets sail, steering the barge back out into the deep. Moses wakes up on a bunk next to Zephyr. He's defeated, bruised, and admits he screwed up. He never got to make the call. Before they can plan their next move, Tucker shows up. He's not waiting for nightfall this time. He's feeding the sharks in broad daylight. He injects both of them with sedatives and hauls their limp bodies to the deck. Zephyr gets strapped into a chair to watch, while Moses becomes the main course, alongside what's left of the poor neighbor, now butchered into chum. Tucker lifts Moses into the air using the crane, dangling him over the water like fresh bait. Zephyr pleads with him, offering herself instead, but Tucker isn't interested. He hates whining and weakness. As Moses is lowered toward the water, Zephyr whispers advice to stay still, hoping to keep the sharks from attacking. Tucker watches through his lens, eager to capture the kill. The sharks circle, but after a moment they lose interest and swim away. Frustrated, Tucker yanks Moses back aboard and stabs him repeatedly in the side to stir up the blood. That does the trick. The scent draws the sharks back fast. Just as they begin circling again, a rescue helicopter appears in the sky. Tucker curses under his breath and quickly pulls Moses back in, shoving both captives back down into the hold. Zephyr looks over at Moses, bleeding, unconscious but still breathing. She's determined not to lose him. She struggles against the cuffs again, trying to slide her hand out, but it won't work. So she does something brutal. She breaks her own thumb trying to force it through the metal loop. It still isn't enough. So she goes full predator, bites off her own damn thumb. When Tucker returns with another dose of sedatives, he notices the blood-stained blanket. He pulls it back and finds the severed thumb underneath, not the middle one but close enough. But Zephyr isn't where she's supposed to be. She's hiding behind the door. As he steps forward, she slips out and slams the door shut, locking him in. But Tucker always has a backup plan. He pulls out a wrench and starts forcing open a nearby porthole. Zephyr races to the control room and fires up the boat, steering it toward the shore. Just as she sees land in the distance, the power goes dead. Tucker's cut the engine. She grabs a flare but has to use it on Tucker himself as he tries to climb into the room. It lights up his face, giving her just enough time. Armed with nothing but a frying pan as a shield and a kitchen knife, she fights him off, managing to knock him out once again. She runs to the deck and leaps overboard, swimming toward the beach with everything she has left. Furious, he jumps into a smaller motorboat and gives chase. Zephyr reaches the empty shoreline, barely able to stand. Just as she's about to scream for help, he catches up. Once again he wraps his arm around her neck, dragging her back to the barge. He ties her up as shark bait, assigning Moses, still half-conscious, as her audience. Tucker starts rambling again, giving yet another one of his twisted speeches. But then he suddenly stops. His eyes widen. Something huge is moving below the surface. A massive shark, the biggest he's ever seen, is swimming toward the boat. He lowers Zephyr into the water while filming, caught up in the awe of it all. Zephyr stays perfectly still, hoping the creature won't attack. Then, out of nowhere, a smaller shark approaches. Tucker moves in with the gaff hook to swat it away. He wants a clean shot for his footage, but the shark rips the hook out of his hand. Zephyr grabs it. Before she can fight back, the shark retreats into the deep. Seizing the opportunity, she clips the hook onto the crane's carabiner and starts climbing. Suddenly, Tucker shouts. Startled, Zephyr loses her grip and falls back into the water, snapping the rope. Now free, she swims toward the boat, but comes face to face with the giant shark. She freezes. The predator stares at her for a second, then swims past. A faded scar runs along its side. While Tucker scans the water, trying to spot her, Zephyr climbs silently up the side of the boat. She finds the harpoon gun, picks it up, and creeps up behind him. One shot. She fires. The spear drives straight through Tucker. He stumbles backward, topples over the edge, and hits the water. He tries to swim back, until the massive shark returns. It clamps down on him, dragging him under with the harpoon still stuck in its mouth. Ironically, Tucker's new camera captures the whole thing. Unfortunately, Zephyr's leg is tangled in the harpoon's rope. It yanks her down too. Inside the hold, Moses, still handcuffed, sheds a tear. It's over, he thinks. But then Zephyr surfaces, alive, fighting the waves. She climbs back on board and rushes to his side. She works to revive him, trying to stop the bleeding. Then in the distance she sees a tourist boat cruising by. Zephyr climbs up to the roof of the wheelhouse and fires her last flare, waving it wildly. The boat turns their way. As she climbs back down to Moses, he opens his eyes. She tells him besides surfing now she has him too. He smiles. The nightmare's over. If you enjoy deep dive recaps like this, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Drop a comment and let us know which movie you'd love to see next.